Right now, somewhere in the world, a person you have never met is walking through their dark home with eyes wide open. They are climbing stairs, opening the refrigerator, eating cold leftovers, and they will not remember any of it tomorrow morning. They are not awake. They are not dreaming. They are somewhere in between, in a state science still struggles to fully define. Welcome to parasomnia, the strange category of sleep disorders where the body acts but the conscious mind is completely offline. Tonight we explore the science of people who walk, eat, talk, drive, and even more, all while completely and deeply asleep. We will not moralize. We will not sensationalize. We will only follow what neuroscience has actually proven and clinically documented. About 1 in 50 adults will sleepwalk this year, and that estimate may be conservative because most cases simply go unreported. Children sleepwalk far more often, with roughly 17% doing it at least once between the ages of 4 and 12. Sleepwalking belongs to a family of conditions called NREM parasomnias, things that happen during your very deepest stages of sleep. NREM means non-rapid eye movement, the slow wave stages before your brain enters dreaming when your body is supposed to remain still. During deep NREM sleep, most of your brain is quiet, but your motor system can sometimes wake up alone, without conscious awareness. Picture your brain as a building with hundreds of rooms, where sleep turns off the lights room by room across the entire night. In parasomnia, one room stays lit while the rest stay dark, the room that controls movement, but not the room that holds awareness. The sleepwalker can climb stairs, navigate furniture, even unlock heavy doors, but their conscious self is completely offline elsewhere. Their eyes are often open, but the visual processing centers are not fully engaged, so what they see is dreamlike and quite unstable. They can hold short conversations, but their answers are usually slow, confused, and they will not remember saying anything afterward. They feel no pain in the same way, they do not respond to loud noises normally, and waking them is genuinely difficult work. The old myth that you should never wake a sleepwalker is partially true, since sudden waking can cause severe confusion and panic. But it is not actually dangerous, and the safer approach is to gently guide them back to bed without trying to wake them. Most sleepwalking episodes last between 30 seconds and 10 minutes, but some documented cases have lasted over 1 full hour. Sleep eating disorder, technically called nocturnal sleep-related eating disorder, affects roughly 1 to 3% of adults today. People with this condition prepare and consume food while completely asleep, often eating things they would never touch awake. Common reports include eating raw bacon, drinking cooking oil, mixing flour with butter, and consuming dish soap by the spoonful. Some patients have burned themselves on hot stoves, cut themselves with kitchen knives, or eaten through entire jars of peanut butter overnight. They wake up to a destroyed kitchen, with no memory of being there, sometimes finding food stuck to their hair or face. The condition is often triggered by certain sleep medications, particularly zolpidem, sold under the well-known brand name Ambien. Ambien-related sleep eating became so common in the early 2000s that the FDA had to add an official warning to the drug label. Some patients on Ambien have reported entire midnight meals, conversations, and even online shopping sprees they cannot remember at all. There are documented cases of Ambien users buying cars at 3 in the morning and waking up with the receipt on their phone. The drug allows the body and the simple decision parts of the brain to wake up while the memory and consciousness parts stay asleep. Sleep driving is rarer, but far more dangerous, with about 1 in 20 parasomnia patients experiencing it at least once in life. People have been found at gas stations, in parking lots, and on busy highways, driving with no memory of leaving their bed. In 1987, a Canadian man named Kenneth Parks drove 14 miles to his in-laws' house while asleep and committed a fatal act. He had no memory of any of it, and a Toronto jury acquitted him of murder, accepting the medical defense of sleep automatism. The case is taught in law schools worldwide as one of the strangest legal precedents ever involving the actual science of sleep. Other documented cases include people driving on the wrong side of highways stopping at imaginary traffic signals and causing fatal collisions. Sleep driving is treated as a medical emergency, and patients diagnosed with it are usually banned from driving until properly treated. Then there is sexsomnia, a clinical condition where people initiate sexual behaviors while completely asleep with no awareness whatsoever. It was formally recognized as a distinct sleep disorder in 2003 by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine after years of debate. Researchers estimate it affects between 1 and 7% of adults, but the true number is likely much higher due to underreporting. Patients have no memory of the behavior afterward, and partners often only discover the condition through repeated observation over months. Brain imaging studies show sexsomnia shares the same exact neural signature as sleepwalking, a partial arousal from deep NREM sleep. The motor and basic emotional regions are awake, but the prefrontal cortex, where judgment and consciousness live, remains completely offline. The condition has led to complex legal cases worldwide, similar to the Parks case, raising deep questions about consent and responsibility. Sleep medicine treats sexsomnia as a serious medical condition, treatable with medication and sleep hygiene therapy, not as a moral failure. All these parasomnias share one root cause, an incomplete transition between sleep states, where parts of the brain wake while others stay asleep. Genetics play a major role. Sleepwalking runs strongly in families, and identical twins are far more likely to share the condition together. If both your parents sleepwalked, your chance of doing it as an adult jumps to nearly 60% instead of the usual 2%. The condition is also worsened by sleep deprivation, alcohol, fever, stress, and certain medications, especially sedatives and some antidepressants. People who pull all-night work shifts or fly across multiple time zones are far more likely to trigger a parasomnia episode. Children outgrow it most of the time, with sleepwalking usually disappearing by puberty as the brain matures and the sleep cycle stabilizes. But about a quarter of childhood sleepwalkers continue into adulthood, and a small percentage develop the condition for the first time after age 40. Modern sleep medicine can treat parasomnia with surprising effectiveness, using a careful combination of behavioral therapy and targeted medications. The most effective treatment is often the simplest, ensuring deep, consistent, uninterrupted sleep so the brain does not get stuck mid-transition. Some patients install bedroom door alarms, gates on stairs, and small bedside cameras to monitor episodes and ensure their own safety. Severe cases are treated with clonazepam, which suppresses the partial arousal mechanism while still preserving healthy normal sleep architecture. The mystery that remains is what the sleepwalking brain actually experiences, since patients almost never remember anything at all afterward. A few rare patients have reported fragments, fuzzy sensations of doing something purposeful, like a dream they could not quite see clearly. Most describe it as nothing, just a black gap in their memory between going to bed and waking up somewhere strange in the house. The deepest mystery is whether the person who does these things is the same person who wakes up the next morning at all. Philosophers and neuroscientists have argued for decades about whether parasomnia reveals a hidden self, a buried personality, or just neurons firing. Some patients report that their sleepwalking selves seem to want different things, eat different foods, even speak somewhat differently than awake. Others report no such distinction at all, just an absence of mind during an action that happened to involve their physical body. Whatever the answer, every night across this planet, millions of people are doing things their conscious selves will never remember. They are walking, eating, talking, driving, and in some cases doing far more intimate things, completely without any awareness at all. If you have ever woken to a strange object in your bed, a half-eaten meal, or a partner's confused question, you have had one. Most episodes are harmless, embarrassing at worst, but a few will leave permanent marks on lives, relationships, and legal records. The science of sleep is still in its early decades, and parasomnia is one of its strangest, most unresolved frontiers today. So tonight, before you sleep, remember the body in your bed and the mind that controls it are not always the very same thing. Sleep well, and remember, somewhere across the night, a part of you may briefly take the wheel without you ever knowing about it.